The connection is live. That's what they're telling me. We are live on Facebook. What's going on, Facebook? Hope everybody's had a great week. We are live on Instagram. What up, everybody on Instagram? Hope that everyone's had a fantastic week. Make sure we got our topic here. There we go. So now I'm gonna wait a moment, see who we get to come into the room. Instagram's letting everybody know that I'm live. Hope everybody's had a great week up until this point. It's Friday afternoon, so I know. Well, what's people doing now? I think they starting to relax these sheltering rules and all that, shelter in place, quarantine, et cetera, et cetera. It's starting to get relaxed. I think people's getting tired of being in the house, and we all know. Well, we don't all know, but I think what I'm hearing is it ain't really nothing they can do to stop the virus. If the virus is going to spread, it's going to spread. It's going to be another wave, but you can't keep everybody in the house forever because it's not going to go away. So we got to do what we got to do. I'm thinking by this time in about 2 weeks, we're going to be closer to quote unquote normal. But anyway, hope everybody's had a great week. That's not what we're here to talk about today. As y'all come in, tell me your name and location in the comments section, and we're going to get into our conversation in a moment. The topic, 31 causes of failure. I'll explain that in a minute, why I'm talking about it, where I got it from, and we're going to get right into them, because that means if I'm giving one of three, that means I got to give you at least 10 of them today, so I want to make sure we got enough time. So as everybody comes in, tell me your name and location in the comments section, and we're going to get into this. I don't know. On Fridays, people got other stuff going on. Everybody might not be on their computers Friday afternoon. People trying to get away from the computers, trying to get home, trying to get out, trying to get on Netflix. I mean, can't go to the mall, can't go to the club, can't go to the bar. I don't know where everybody else at, but you can tell me your name and location in the comment section. I'm going to shout everybody out who leaves their name and location. Then we're going to get started in a moment. Jonathan checking in from Northeast Philadelphia. What's going on, Jonathan? As y'all check in, tell me names and locations. We getting started in 2 minutes. I don't care who's here, who's not here. We getting started either way. But I hope everybody's had a great week. Hope everybody stays safe. Kept your hands clean. Staying away from anything that could put you in danger in any type of way. There's a lot of things going on these days. COVID-19 is just one of them. So we're going to get started. I'm going to introduce myself, then we're going to get straight into this. So whoever's here is here. Y'all know what I say. Whoever's early is on time. Whoever's on time is late. Whoever's late is forgotten. For those who don't know me, my name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, former 9-year professional athlete, author of 25 books. I've done 4 TED Talks. I've published over 15,000 pieces of content, including 7,000 YouTube videos, 7,000 articles, 1,500 podcast episodes, and I created this whole framework, this whole philosophy, this brand, this business that is called Work on Your Game. Wrote a book about it. One of my books is called Work on Your Game. And this is all about, the philosophy itself is all about taking the mindset of a pro athlete. And pro athletes in the top 1% in the world in their profession, and teaching you how to take that mindset and apply it to your business and your sport and in your life. And it's more than just being confident and feeling yourself or getting hyped up before a game. There's a whole lot more to it than that. I teach that all in this Work on Your Game philosophy, and everything that I give you on these lives is I'm giving you a piece of that Work on Your Game philosophy. So I want you to understand that's what you are getting right now. Young Portia said you about to get that mirror. Shout out to everybody who got that mirror motivation, and everybody who is about to get it. Shout out to everybody who's about to get that mirror motivation. Make sure you get yours. We are shipping those out. I think we just got a shipment this morning. I didn't even check the shipment yet, but we just got a shipment, about 30 more of those, so we can send them out. And they are all spoken for. So we already know where they're going and who's got them and all that. So if you ordered your copy of Mirror Motivation, check your email for shipping confirmation. If you didn't get it yet, it's because we didn't ship it yet. But we will ship it, and you will get confirmation and all that. So today, what we're talking about, today, tomorrow, and Sunday, the next 3 days, we're going to go over the 31 major causes of failure. Now, these 31 major causes of failure, I did not invent this list. I got this list from a man by the name of Napoleon Hill. Some of you may have heard of this guy. He wrote a book called Think and Grow Rich. Maybe you heard of that. He wrote one of my favorite personal development books that's called The Law of Success. Now, out of The Law of Success came Think and Grow Rich. Napoleon Hill wrote several books, but Think and Grow Rich is the one that almost everybody knows him for. It's probably the top-selling business book of all time, probably, if you want to put it into business or personal development. It's probably the top-selling book in either category, aside from maybe the Bible, unless you count the Bible. And Napoleon Hill, obviously he was one of the forefathers of the personal development movement. He interviewed a whole bunch of very successful people and started asking them what are the things that led to success. That's how he wrote Think and Grow Rich. He also put out a list of things that make you successful, but I wanted to go the opposite direction and tell you about things that cause people to fail. What are the things that cause people to come up short in life? And the reason I'm going over this list is not to put you in a state of anxiety, but to help you check yourself and ask yourself, all right, what are some things that I might be doing that might be leading me down the path to failure and I'm not even aware that I'm doing them? What are some habits that I have that are on the list of the 31 major causes of failure that I might want to change that habit before I take myself down the road to failure? Because these causes of failure, I want you to understand that they are universal and they repeat themselves over and over and over again. In other words, if somebody in the 1950s failed because of one of these reasons, then in the 1970s, even though times have changed, that doesn't mean that this mistake will not still lead you to failure. So if somebody made this mistake 50 years ago and they failed because of it, if you make the same error, don't think that because we're in a new time zone or a new era or things are different now and now we got smartphones, don't think that that means you won't fail by committing these same errors. So I want you to understand that these are universal and they are timeless principles. So I want you to listen to everyone that I give you here. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to explain it, of course. And now you need to check yourself and ask yourself, am I committing any of these errors against any of these sins against my own success that will cause me to fail in life? So let's get into it today. Again, we're doing points number 1 through 10 tomorrow. It'll be, 11 through 20. And the day after that, we'll do 21 through 31. So point number 1. These are 31 major causes of failure. Number 1 major cause of failure, and these are not in any particular order, is unfavorable hereditary background. Now, out of all the major causes of failure that I'm going to be listing over the next 3 days, this is the one that you can't really control. You can't really do anything about this one. If you have unfavorable hereditary background, for those who don't know what that means you just got some bad genes passed down to you by your parents, by your mother and your father, your biological mother and father. They pass down some bad genes to you. Maybe cancer runs in your family. Maybe nobody in your family's tall. You want to be an athlete, or maybe you want to be a basketball player rather than nobody in your family's tall, or you want to live a long life, but cancer runs in your family. So you might have the gene that could cause you to be more susceptible to getting cancer than somebody else. So these are things that you can't do anything about. You didn't ask to be born. You didn't choose your parents. You're stuck with that. And that unfavorable hereditary background for some people could lead you to a situation that is not ideal, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you are doomed to failure. Because there are people who are born without arms and legs who become successful. There are people who are born missing a limb, or people who are born they can't talk, or they can't see, or they can't speak from birth. They didn't do anything to cause it. They didn't make any errors, but just unfavorable hereditary background put them in that situation, but they were still able to turn that into success. However, it may take a little bit more work. It may not be the ideal condition for you. So this is not necessarily a reason for you to fail, because again, you can't control it. What you can control is what you do with whatever hand you are dealt. And sometimes you might be dealt a hand that is just not as easy to play as somebody else's. So we ain't going to spend no more time on that. The rest of these are all things that you have 100% control over. That one you don't. Point number 2. We're talking the 31 major causes of failure. Number 2, lack of a well-defined purpose in life. Now, this is a big one right here. Now, I talk about this every day. When I tell you about this book right here, The Mirror of Motivation, which you can get for free at mirrormotivation.com, I'll tell you about that later. One of the reasons that I wrote this book is to help people find their purpose, is to relocate your purpose. You might know what it is. Maybe you just lost it for a little bit because you've been listening to everybody else. You've been doing all these other things, not focused, not doing what you're supposed to do, losing touch with who you are as a person at your core, and you lose your purpose. If you don't have a purpose in life, actually, you've seen people who don't have a purpose. These are people who wake up every day and they go outside or they sit on their couch and they just start doing stuff. Maybe they check their email, they check their Facebook and their social medias, but they don't really know what they're doing. They're like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing today. I don't know where I'm going. I have no idea, what my plan is. I don't know what I got coming up in life. This is the type of person you ask them, hey, what are you working on right now? What you got going on? What's the next thing for you? And they never have an answer for you because they have no idea where they're going. They don't have any idea what they're doing. They don't know where they want to be. They may not even know who they are as a person, which could be a real reason why they don't have a purpose. Lacking a purpose in life is basically meaning you don't have a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Some people only get out of bed just so they could go to the bathroom and they could check their phone and they could go see what's going on outside and so they could watch TV. Not because they got a real purpose, something that they're excited about. I'm going to pose this question that I'm going to hand to you and you ask yourself this question. How often are you excited to get up in the morning? How often do you wake up in the morning and the first thing you're thinking about is, damn, I get to blank. I get to do whatever it is you want to do. I get to run my business today. I get to finish working on this book that I want to write today. I get to go to basketball practice today. I get to see my kids today because they're in the room down the hall and I haven't seen them since last night. When are you excited about something in your life? When are you excited about your purpose and about what you're doing? When are you so full of purpose that you know exactly where you're going, exactly what you're doing, and you never find yourself in a moment of, I have no idea what I should be doing right now. I have no idea where I'm going. I don't have a plan. I don't have a strategy. You don't want to catch yourself in this space in life. And I want you all to understand something, that even if you're a person who has goals, if you're a person who has goals and you're good at setting plans for your goals and going and achieving your goals and all that, understand something. Once you achieve your goal, now you need a new one. Or when you feel like you're about to reach it, you need to make sure you got some new goals in place. Now, I was watching the Chicago Bulls documentary, and I heard Phil Jackson talk about this, but I heard them talk about this years ago, back in one of the old Jordan books that came out in like the 90s or the early 2000s, that one of the Bulls' assistant coaches, a guy named Tex Winter, he's the guy who brought the triangle offense to the Bulls, to the NBA period, basically. He would tell his players, listen, you are only successful at the moment that you are going after the success. But at the moment that you start celebrating a success. So, for example, if you're an athlete and you win the championship, of course you wanted to win the championship. At the moment that you're holding up that trophy, all right, the success is over. You're no longer a success because you are no longer chasing anything. See, success means the pursuit of a worthy ideal. Earl Nightingale said that in The Strangest Secret back in the 1960s. So if you are not pursuing something, then you are not successful. See, success is not an achievement. Success is not you got a certain number of subscribers on your YouTube channel, or you won a championship, or you finally have your finished book, the book you wanted to write finally came out. That's not what makes you a success. What makes you a success is that you have somewhere that you want to get to, and you are making efforts to get there. That's what makes a person successful. Therefore, a person who has no goals, they have no purpose, they don't know where they're going, it's impossible for them to be a success because they're not doing anything. They're not going after anything. Anybody who does not have goals, does not have a purpose, does not have somewhere that they're trying to get to, that person is a loser. I said this when I was telling y'all about my book, The Mental Workbook, which came out in 2017. If you don't have that book, I suggest you get it, because every book that I write, the material is evergreen. It doesn't matter when you get it or even when it came out, because the material will apply to anyone when they get it. This is the Mental Workbook, which you can get at workonmygame.com/workbook. Somebody said it sounds like the Mamba mentality. No, this was way before Kobe Bryant. This is stuff I'm talking about here today. But fine if you want to call it that. Having a purpose in life is the reason you get out of bed in the morning. It puts energy behind your actions. It moves other people to follow your lead. If you notice that people are not really following you, are not really listening to you, or you're doing stuff and it doesn't seem to really be catching on with anybody, and you're not even excited about it, you need to ask yourself, what's my purpose here? Like, what am I really doing? Where am I supposed to be going? I heard 50 Cent say, and everybody knows 50 Cent. He just put out a book a couple weeks ago called Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. It's a great book. I read it twice in the first week that it came out. And he said when he got shot, because everybody knows 50 got shot before he really came out with Eminem and Dr. Dre and all that. But he said, after I got shot, I really started to figure out what my purpose was in life, because seeing that my life almost taken away from me, that really wakes you up. At least according to 50. I'm not trying to find out, but he said according to his story, getting shot really caused him to really figure out what his purpose was and really get focused in life. He felt like he was focused before, but after he got shot, he was a whole lot more focused. Now, I'm not telling you to go out and get somebody to shoot you so you can figure out your purpose, but what you do need to do is figure out what your purpose is, whatever way you need to do it. Whether that means you need to read a book, you need to go get hyped up, you need to go talk to somebody who already has a purpose and ask them some questions. Whatever you got to do, you must figure out what your purpose is in life. If you don't know what your purpose is in life, that is going to lead you to a path of failure. And actually, if you are right now at this moment, you don't have a purpose, you're failing right now in this moment, because failure is not a destination the same way success is not a destination. Failure is something that you do continually. So you wake up every day with no purpose, you're a failure each one of those days. But at the exact moment that you decide that you have a purpose and you figure it out and you start going in that direction, now you become a success. But you do not remain a success just because you said you had a purpose or you wrote it down. You must continue going after it. At the exact moment you stop going after your purpose, you are a failure and you are a loser. Point number 3. We are talking the 31 major causes of failure. We're doing the first 10 today. Number 3, lack of ambition to aim above mediocrity. Ooh, this is a good one right here. These are all good ones. I'm going to say that one more time. Lack of ambition to aim above mediocrity. Now, I just told you that if you don't have a purpose in life and you're not going anywhere, that makes you a loser. Now, point number 3 is saying, third reason that people fail in life is that they don't want to aim above mediocrity. They don't have the ambition to aim for anything more than just being average and being okay. So, this point right here is raising the bar. It's saying you got to do more than just have a purpose. You got to be aiming to do more than be average. You got to be aiming to be above average. Anybody who's aiming to be average is that's a reason that you're going to fail in life. Here's the reason why you would be a failure just by aiming to be average. Because you're going to fade into the crowd. You're basically going to be part of the wallpaper. You're going to fade into the wall. Nobody's even going to notice you. And the reason why that will make you a failure, because you might be saying, well, look, Dre, there are a lot of people in life are average. I mean, average wouldn't exist if there weren't a whole bunch of people who were average, right? So how is it that being average is also failing? Because you would think it's like above average, which is like great, then there's average, and then there's failures, right? Isn't average above a failure? No. I'm going to tell you why being average is not above being a failure. It is because each one of us is a unique individual, right? We're all individuals like snowflakes. We all got individual fingerprints. Each one of us has a unique set of talents and gifts. Now, some of us know what our talents and gifts are. Some of us do not. Some of us are on the path of figuring it out, and some of us are not. The thing is, each one of us is individuals. We're each different. We each have something different to offer the world, and we each have a certain set of talents and gifts that we can share with the world. So therefore, if everyone agrees with that, everyone listen to me right now, you agree that you are unique and that you have some talents and gifts that the world needs to know about. Whether you know what they are or not, you agree that they do exist. Here's the thing. If you are not taking actions to get those talents and gifts out to the world and share them with the world, that means you are aiming or not aiming by default, by not trying to be less than what you're capable of being. You're aiming for less than what your actual potential is. And if you do less than what you are capable of doing, then by definition, you are a failure. If you on purpose do less than what you're capable of doing, or by omission, meaning knowing that you could do a certain thing, but you just don't even try, that makes you a failure. Because you could be up here, but instead you're down here. And you're not even doing anything to close that gap. All right, that makes you a failure. And the exact wording they use here is a lack of ambition to get above mediocrity. Anybody got a question or comment? I'll address all of them at the end like I do every day. Where's your ambition? Do you have the ambition to aim above what is average? To aim above being just okay? Definition of ambition is a strong desire to do or achieve something, typically requiring determination and hard work. That's what ambition means. Now, I told you a couple weeks ago when I did back-to-back, I think I did 2 or 3 of them, when I was talking about the best advice I ever got from my basketball coaches. A coach who recruited me in college said to me, look, I'm not bringing you here to be an average player. I don't want you to be a mediocre player. I got enough mediocre players. I can recruit a mediocre player easy. All right, I'm recruiting you because I want somebody to be above mediocre. I want somebody to be much better than that, and I want you to deliver at a higher level. He was telling me exactly what Napoleon Hill said here. A lack of ambition to aim above mediocrity. A lot of people just want to be okay in life. A lot of people just want to get by. A lot of people just want to get to a certain level and maintain the status quo, and they don't want to find out how good they could actually be. And the people who do push to find out how good they actually become, they're the people whose names you know. They're the people who get books written about them and documentaries made about them, and they make an impact on a whole lot of people's lives. They don't necessarily have to be famous, but they make impacts on a whole lot of people's lives simply because they did things that inspired other people to look at themselves and say, damn, if this person is doing this, what am I not doing? If this person's putting this kind of effort in, this person's showing up this way, this person has all this stuff going on, but they still deliver like that, what am I not doing? Where can I step my own game up? Looking at what this person's doing, it's inspiring me to go do something. Even if they could be doing something completely different. They could be a rapper and you could be a artist who draws paintings. Now, you don't have nothing to do with rap, but something about what they did inspires you to go do some more painting. Or they could be a comedian and you could be a computer salesperson. But what they did inspired you to go work on yourself. The people who have ambition and aim to go much further than the average, aim to be much higher than mediocre, they inspire other people just through their energy, through their actions, and through the things that they accomplish. You got to ask yourself, do you have that ambition? Point number 4. We're talking 31 major causes of failure. Number 4, insufficient education. Yes, you heard that correctly. Insufficient education is a cause for failure. Now, what do we mean when we say education? Let's be clear. There are two types of education I want to talk about here. Education number one is the basic education. Basic education means knowing how to read and write and do math and simple mathematics, make simple types of arithmetic, knowing how to spell your name, recognizing a word when you see it up on the wall, being able to read signs when you're driving. That's the basic type of education. That's the stuff you get going through, let's just say your first, let's say 12 years of schooling. All right, you graduate high school or equivalent wherever you are in the world, whatever they call it. If you get through high school, age 17, 18, that is basic education. If you're insufficient in those areas, if you ever known somebody who couldn't really read or write or spell, or they couldn't do basic math, all right, that is a cause for failure in life, because those things are baselines that you need just to get along in the world, on your own at least. You need those as baselines. Being able to count how many hours, I'm paying you $10 an hour, you work 10 hours, how much money I owe you. If you can't do that mathematics, okay, that's a cause for failure in life. All right, can you read that sign right there that says do not walk? Can you write your name? All right, if I'm saying something to you, can you write it down while I'm talking? That's basic education. If you don't have that, you can fail in life. Now, there's another level of education that I want to put into this same point, is the education that you get outside of school. All right, this is your self-driven education. Now, I'm not saying self-taught education. Self-taught means like things that you learn by yourself. You just going out in the world exploring, and you just learn something just by happenstance, or because you're aiming to just figure it out on your own through your own actions, trial and error. I'm not talking about that kind of education. I'm talking about self-driven education, meaning going to the bookstore or Amazon and buying a book because you want to learn about this business that you want to start. That's self-driven education. Somebody puts out a book and you're not, let's say you graduated from school and you go buy a book, or you buy 10 books and you go read those books. That is self-driven education. You get this book right here, this is self-driven education, because no school in the world is requiring anybody to read this book. But if you go get it yourself, and I'm giving it to you free, you get it, you take the action to get this book, that's self-driven education. Right now, what I'm talking about, this is self-driven education. Like, at this point, you know what I'm talking about. You got a pretty good idea. If you heard any of my lives, you know that I'm gonna give you something that's gonna be, I guess you could call it educational, but I ain't no school teacher. But this is self-driven education. This is stuff that you can use to make yourself better and more valuable and take yourself to a higher level. We call it personal development. Personal development is something that a lot of people do not partake in at all ever in life, either because they're unaware of it or they just don't want to. There's a study that showed, and I've heard different numbers, but let's just say it was somewhere around 70 to 80% of people, after they finish their formal schooling, whether that be high school, college, whatever, they never read another book on their own volition ever again in their lives. After they finish school, never read another book, not one. So you get out of school, 21, 22 years old, they live to be 80, and never read a single book again for the rest of their lives. That means they do not partake in self-driven education. And that insufficiency, the stuff that they didn't learn because they didn't get any education outside of school, that can cause you to fail in life. You want to be an author, you want to write books, you better have some knowledge of what's going on in the author game. Otherwise, you're going to be the one that gets pimped by some publishing company. If you want to be an entrepreneur and make money creating and selling goods and services, you better know what's going on in the entrepreneur game, or you're going to put a whole lot of time, effort, and energy into it and not get anything back. You want to get into the fill in the blank, any game in this life nowadays, and you don't go get your own information outside of what everybody else gets, how are you going to separate yourself from everybody else? If the only information you have is the same information that comes standard to everybody else, then how are you going to be any different from everybody else? You're going to be just like them. Which makes you average, which makes you mediocre, which means you don't have ambition to aim above mediocrity, which we just talked about in point number 3, which means you are a failure. So where are you getting your education outside of school? So all of you who are watching this, if you're still in school, stay in school and get the information. At least know what's going on. When you're finished with school, any of you who's done with school, all right, how much education, self-driven education, are you partaking in on a daily basis? Not a weekly basis, a daily basis. How much self-driven education? Are you listening to podcasts? I'm talking about educational, informational podcasts. I'm not just talking about the Breakfast Club where they talking about the rumor report and this person said this and rappers dissing each other. I'm not talking about that. How many YouTube channels are you watching where you're actually getting some real information? How many TED Talks are you watching? How many books are you reading? Where are you getting your self-driven education? If you can't answer that question, you are on the path to failure. But I just told you, as soon as you do something different, you could be on the path to success. But you got to stay on that path by continuing to do stuff. Point number 6. We're talking the 31 major causes of failure. Point number 6, Ill health. Bad health is a cause of failure in life. Now, somebody might say, well, Dre, that's kind of unfair. What if somebody just has some kind of condition that they might not be able to do much about it right now? They can't afford the medical bills. How is that a cause for failure? It's a cause for failure because you can control your health to a certain extent. Now, again, if you have bad genetics and something runs in your family and you just get it, that can be a cause for failure because, I mean, if you die, you die, okay? Whether it's your fault or not, if you're dead, you can't reach success. But ill health, I'm going to put in a different category. I'm going to define ill health as bad health situations that you have control over, but maybe because you did nothing, because of omission, you got into bad health. For example, if somebody's overweight and they're 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight, they never go to the gym, they never work out, and they got a terrible eating lifestyle, that's a cause that can cause bad health. If you're 50 pounds overweight, that's ill health, okay? That will lead you to failure. Why? Everybody's heard the saying that health is wealth. If you never heard it, you heard it now. Health is wealth, and wealth cannot buy health. Everybody got that? So if you got a whole lot of money, but you're 80 pounds overweight, you can't buy your weight loss. I mean, you could go get the surgery, the liposuction or whatever, and get your skin tightened up. But if you don't do anything to strengthen your heart and strengthen your bones and strengthen your muscle, your body will fall apart on you. And then you won't even be able to enjoy your money or your house or your kids or your family or whatever you got going on in your life. So if you allow your health to fade and you allow your health to bring you down, then everything else that you have going on, all that self-education, all that ambition, all that hard work, all of that will go away if your health fails on you. If your body fails, then it's not fun. Any of you know anybody whose body has failed them? They can't do anything. They can't live on their own. They can't go to the bathroom by themselves. They can't even get up out of a wheelchair. Maybe they can't get out of bed. They can't go outside. Their bones are brittle. They can't really go up. They can't go up a flight of steps without losing their breath. You know anybody who's like that? All right, ask them how fun that is. And that person could be rich. Ask them how fun it is living that life. You only get one physical body, ladies and gentlemen. You have friends can come and go. Boyfriends and girlfriends can come and go. Jobs come and go. Cars come and go. Money comes and goes. You get one physical body. That body fails, it's a wrap. And if that body fails and you're still alive, at least you're still alive, but you can't do much with it, that ain't fun. So ill health will destroy you. And the things that they say here, overeating and foods that are not conducive to health. Bad habits, giving expression to negative energies. So understand your health is not just about the foods you put in your body, it's also the way you think. If you are surrounded by negative people, y'all know the law of association. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with. And spending time does not mean just standing next to them and talking to them on the phone. You're spending time with me right now. If you watch somebody on YouTube, you subscribe to their channel, you spend time with them every time they put a video out. If you read somebody's book, you're spending time with them. You're spending 3 weeks with that person reading their book or however long it takes you to read the book. You listen to somebody's podcast, you're spending time. That whole 20 minutes that they're in your ear, you're spending time with that person. So what kind of energies are you taking in? That is all part of your health. It also says wrong use of and overindulgence in sex, lack of proper physical exercise, which I just talked about, or an inadequate supply of fresh air. Meaning you don't go outside and get any vitamin C or vitamin D, whatever it is that you get from the sun. All of those things can lead to ill health. So you need to watch your health. Health is wealth. If your health fails, doesn't matter how wealthy you are, you can't enjoy it. Point number 7. We're talking the 31 major causes of failure. Number 7, unfavorable environmental influences during childhood. Now, this is another one that you don't have a ton of control over. When you're a kid, let's say you're 5 years old or 12 or 7 years old, and let's say your parents are just not, they don't know anything about these things that I'm talking about right here. And maybe they can hear it and say, I don't give a damn, I'm going to keep doing it anyway. All right, they are negative, or your family or whatever environment you grew up in, people are negative, people are failures, people are mediocre, people don't have goals, people don't want to go anywhere, people don't know what their purpose is. And all of these people have been around you your whole life. You learn from these people your entire lives. All right, you learn from everything that these people have been talking about, everything that these people have been doing. And a lot of it colors your actions and your thought processes when you become a young adult and then eventually a full adult and go out into the world. You can't always control this. However, what I want you to understand is that even though your background and the people that you were around in your environment growing up may have been super negative, as soon as you're able to recognize it, then it becomes your responsibility to do something about it. So if what I just described right now, you could say, you know what, Dre, I'm from an environment that was kind of negative. The people around me were negative. They weren't about positivity and things like that. Understand this. As soon as you recognize it, that means you identify, okay, this was not good. Now that means you need to do something different. Now, if you recognize it and do nothing, now you're choosing your own failure. Point number 8. Topic here is the 31 major causes of failure. We got 3 more. We're doing first 10 today. Number 8 is procrastination. This is a big one right here. On my show, Work on Your Game, that comes out every day on your favorite podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, Google Play, all of that. You want the full episodes, you got to go to Work on Your Game University, which is right down there in that link. But I put out some of it. You can hear at least what the topic is and an introduction to the topic on any podcast app for free. The 4th principle of the Work on Your Game philosophy is personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves you to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. Procrastination is the exact opposite of that. That's when you know there's something that you need to do or want to do, but you just don't do it. You just delay action. You do not move yourself to action. You might be thinking about it. You might be planning, quote unquote. You might already have your plan and have already thought about it, but you just don't want to take action. So you come up with reason after reason to do nothing. You let time go by. You say, all right, well, if I could do it today, I could do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow becomes the next day, becomes next week, next month, next year, and eventually becomes never for most people. A lack of personal initiative, which is also known as procrastination, causes many people to fail. Let me tell you the general reason. The basic reason why procrastination is a reason for failure in life is because everybody who's listening to me right now, we all, at some point, we all going to die. Everybody agrees with that? Is there anybody here who thinks you're going to live forever? All right, logically, no. Everybody knows that they're going to die, right? Because everybody you've ever known, they either died or they're going to die too. So here's the thing. None of us knows when we're going to die. Unless you're planning to kill yourself or you got an execution order from the government. Nobody knows when you're going to pass away. You don't know how much more time you have on this planet. It might be a day, it might be a year, it might be 10 years, it might be 100 years you might have left on this planet. So here's the thing. If you procrastinate, there's something you could be doing right now, but you say, I'll do it later. You are basically telling the universe that you are 100% sure, you are guaranteeing that you have more time to live at which you could actually get to that thing that you want to get to. But who told you that you were guaranteed more time? Who told you that you were guaranteed? Somebody say, well, hey, you're supposed to do this on May 15th. And they say, well, I'll do it on June 15th. Well, who guaranteed you that you were going to make it to June 15th? Now, I'm not hoping that you don't, but who guaranteed that you would? I mean, can we all agree that there's some people who woke up this morning who ain't going to go to bed tonight and they didn't think today was their last day? I think we all can agree to that. I think everyone here probably knows someone or knows of someone who was either your age or younger who didn't make it to the next year. And it could have been you, right? And they didn't think it was going to be their last day, the day that was their last day. So when you procrastinate, well, you are telling the universe and you're telling yourself that you basically think you are guaranteed another day, week, month, year, etc. But nobody told you that. You ain't got that in writing nowhere. That's not a contract that you can enforce in the court of law. So procrastination is basically saying you know you have more time when the fact is you actually don't. Point number 9. The topic here is 31 major causes of failure. Number 9 is a lack of persistence. Failure in life is created by a lack of persistence. Many people in life are really good at starting things and terrible at finishing things. Why is this? Because starting things is fun. Starting things is easy. Starting things is exciting. And persisting in things after you already started is probably the opposite of all of those. Persisting in something that's already been started is not always fun. There will be long days. There will be grinds. There'll be things that you have to do in the process of persisting that you don't really feel like doing. There'll be times when you feel like quitting. There'll be times when you look at what somebody else is doing, which you shouldn't be doing, but you're going to do it because you're human. You're going to notice what somebody else is doing. They're doing better than you. And you're going to start wondering if everything you've ever done is a mistake. And you're going to want to quit. And what most people do is quit. Most people actually, they don't even quit. They just slowly fade away and just stop doing the thing and to the point that they forget that they were ever even doing it in the first place. This is what a lot of people do. And I guarantee somebody who's listening to me right now, you are guilty of this. I'm talking to you. You know who you are. You started something and you didn't finish it. There's some things that you started last month. You said you were going to do it all the time, and already, it ain't even been a month yet, you already quit. You already stopped doing it. You already faded out. You already faded the black, and you ain't doing it already. A lack of persistence leads to failure in life simply because, ladies and gentlemen, to create success in life, you're going to have to go through some struggle. You're going to have to go through some long days. You're going to have to go through some grinds. You're going to have to go through some periods where it seems like nothing's going to work, where it seems like maybe you chose the wrong path, where it seems like maybe your whole life was a mistake, and you're going to have to keep going. Most people do not have this ability. Most people don't have the mental toughness to continue. The third principle of the work on your game philosophy is mental toughness. And what is mental toughness? It is your willingness to continue to be disciplined, to keep showing up, doing your job, and continuing to believe in yourself and in your plan, even though yourself and your plan and your discipline have not produced a result yet. That's what mental toughness is. Being mentally tough enough to look at yourself and say, okay, things have not worked out yet. I believed in myself and I still haven't gotten a result yet, but I'm going to keep at this path. That doesn't mean you just keep doing the same thing. You can still say to yourself, I'm going to keep at this path, but let me examine what I'm doing. Let me figure out how to do it better. Let me figure out where I might be making a mistake. Let me go get some information from somebody who's smarter than me. That's all part of mental toughness, saying I'm not going to give up on the outcome. I'm not going to give up on my purpose. I'm going to just figure out a different strategy to achieve this purpose because this strategy is not producing the right outcome. Let me fix it the way I need to fix it. That's mental toughness. Most people lack mental toughness. Actually, honestly, man, I know a lot of people. I talk to a lot of people, and I know so many talented people. I mean, people with more talent than me. I think I'm a pretty talented individual. I know some people with way more talent than me in certain areas who have no mental toughness whatsoever. Therefore, they don't complete the things that they start. I know people who could have written more books than me, but they haven't because they have no mental toughness. They don't follow through. They don't finish the things that they start. They talk about writing books. Anytime I tell somebody about writing books, they tell me that they want to write a book. Every single time. Oh, yeah, I want to write a book too. I should write a book about this. Damn, I always thought about writing a book. How can I write a book? Every time I tell people I write books, they talk about writing books. I don't know too many people who have written them, though. You know why? Most people don't persist. They're not mentally tough enough to fight through it. When writing these books is not easy. When I wrote this book right here, the writing part was easy. Then the editing part was a pain. It was not fun. It was times I never thought about quitting, but there are times where I didn't feel like looking at these words again and editing them over again and sending them back to the publisher and back and forth and back and forth. There were times I really did not feel like doing that. But, I mean, my whole philosophy is work on your game. How could I quit? I can't. And I wasn't going to quit anyway. But the whole point is if you don't persist in the things that you do, if you're not mentally tough enough to persist through the long days, you are on your way to failure. Okay? So if you don't have any other motivation to be mentally tough or avoiding failure, I think that's a good enough reason. Point number 10. This is the last one for today. And then I'm going to take questions. The 31 major causes of failure we're talking about today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Number 10, a negative personality. And y'all know some negative people? Now, a negative personality does not mean a person who will play devil's advocate or a person who will point out something that's wrong when it's actually wrong. A negative personality is the person who is, they're the proverbial glass half empty person. They're the person who always sees the negative in everything. Anything that happens, they got to point out something negative. They got to somehow be a wet blanket on every situation, not because they're trying to make things better, but because they just have a negative disposition. So they got to spread their negativity everywhere they go. That's the type of person I'm talking about. Now, again, I want to be clear. If you're, for example, a boss at a job and you got to crack the whip on your employees because they're not doing their job, they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, or you got to talk to somebody because they haven't been performing their job, that does not make you a negative person. You might have had to say something that a person took as negative. That doesn't make you a negative individual. A negative person is a person who just has so much negative energy within them that they lower the energy and they bring negativity into everything that they do. That's the type of person that I'm talking about. These are the type of people, if you know a negative person, if you've been listening to all of this, then I'm assuming you're probably not a negative person. But if you know a negative person, they're the type of person that you avoid. You see them coming and you're like, man, I hope he didn't see me because I really do not want to talk to this guy. I really don't want to have a conversation with her. I hope he doesn't email me or text me again. I'm not answering the phone when this person calls because I know it's just going to be negative and I don't want that kind of energy. I don't want those vibes in my life. That's what I mean when I say a negative personality. It says here there's no hope of success for a person who repels people through a negative personality. Again, you know a negative personality is the type of person that you avoid. You just don't want to talk to them. You don't want to hear nothing from them. Now, again, you can have somebody in your life who keeps it real with you. That's not being negative. Keeping it real with you is a person who will tell you like, yo, you said you was going to do this and that, and you only did half of it. Or you said you was going to be over here, and you've been BSing. Or you said you were serious about this, and you ain't really putting the work in. And I'm going to tell you straight up, you ain't putting the work in. Like, you need to show up and be for real if you really going to be thorough about this. That's not being negative. That's somebody who's just keeping it real with you. Now, somebody keeping it real with you might need to tell you something that you don't want to hear, and you might say it's negative in the moment, but you understand that they're trying to help you. So if somebody tells you something that you might take as negative, and you might be upset that day or that moment, but later on you're like, damn, they was really trying to help me, even though they had to tell me something about myself. That's not a negative personality. If you're an athlete and you got a trainer or a coach, your trainer or coach, I guarantee, is going to say something to you that you don't like somewhere along the line. That doesn't make them a negative person. It just means that's their way of trying to help you. And if you're listening, they probably will help you if you pay attention. A negative personality will cause you to fail in life simply because you won't be able to get anybody to want to be on your side. You won't have anybody who wants to listen to you, nobody who wants to work with you. And negative personality will not induce cooperation. Nobody wants to cooperate with a negative person. Negative energy repels people. It makes people go away from you, makes people not want to talk to you. Nobody wants to help you. And you can be very good at what you do. But when you have a negative personality, you can end up on the outside looking in. And you ever known a negative person who could have been the best player on the team, but they end up off the team because of bad energy? Or a person who could have been a great worker, but they get fired from the job because they have negative energy? A negative personality can destroy your whole life from the inside out. And if you know any negative people, look at their lives over time. I guarantee you their lives go this way. It goes backwards. It goes down and backwards simply because that negative energy, all it does is attract more of its own. You become what you are. All right, positive attracts positive, negative attracts negative. So you got to ask yourself, what are you attracting into your life? It'll tell you directly what type of energy you have. You're attracting a bunch of losers, you're a loser. If you're attracting a bunch of winners, you're winning. You're attracting negative energy, it's probably because you have it. If you are repelling negative energy and somebody comes to you with some negative energy and they can't seem to get through to you, that's a good sign because that means you ain't got that energy to match. And I'm going to recap these 10 points. I'm going to take questions. I'm going to tell you about these 2 books in front of me. Now, we're going over the 31 major causes of failure here today, tomorrow, and the next day. I'm going to tell you the first 10. Number 1, unfavorable hereditary background. It means you just got bad genes passed down from your parents. Can't do nothing about that. Number 2, all the rest of these you could do something. Number 2, lack of a well-defined purpose in life. Number 3, a lack of ambition to aim above mediocrity. Number 4, insufficient education. Number 5, lack of self-discipline. Number 6, ill health. Number 7, unfavorable environmental influences during childhood. Number 8, procrastination. Number 9, a lack of persistence. And number 10, a negative personality. Tomorrow we're going to do 11 through 20. Now I'm going to tell you about these 2 books right here real quick. Both of these books right here are already paid for. I'm offering both of these books for free. Let me tell you what they are so you know what you're getting before you make a move. This right here is the Mirror of Motivation. This is the book. The Self-Guide to Self-Discipline is the subtitle. This is the book that will help you find your purpose in life and really get locked in on that purpose, which means you're going to separate yourself from 99% of people on this planet who have no purpose. They're drifting through life. They're on their way to failure, as I just explained to you, because they don't have a purpose. They don't have a reason for getting up in the morning. There's no energy to their actions. Nobody wants to follow them. Nobody wants to listen to them. They have no impact on the world because they are aiming for mediocrity. They're on their way to losing. They're already losing. You want to be the opposite of that? Get the Mirror of Motivation. Maybe you are losing right now in life. You feel like you're losing. Get this book. I guarantee you'll be winning by the time you finish reading this because everything in this book is actionable. You're going to put into action, implement it immediately, and this will change your life from the inside out, guaranteed. Get this book free. All you do is take care of the shipping by going to mirrorofmotivation.com. That's mirrorofmotivation.com. This book right here is called The Overseas Basketball Blueprint. This book is for anyone who wants to play professional basketball overseas, where you get paid to play basketball, your travel's paid for, your food's paid for, your housing is paid for. All you got to do is supply the game. If you can play ball at the pro level, if you think you can play ball at the pro level, you want to give a shot at playing ball at the pro level, you want to finally fulfill your potential. You want to be able to tell people that you made it in basketball, that you took it to the highest level, even if you've been overlooked, even if you've been counted out, even if you never got a real opportunity, nobody's ever really taken a chance on you. I'm giving you a chance to take a chance on yourself by going to balloverseas.com and getting the Overseas Basketball Blueprint. This is a 237-page book that tells you everything you need to know about playing basketball overseas so you can get paid to play basketball. There is no job in the world better than that. Go to balloverseas.com. Take care of the shipping, and I'm shipping this book to you worldwide. We just got 50 of these in this week to ship out, and most of them are already spoken for, and we about to order some more. Balloverseas.com if you want to play overseas. All right, whoever got a question, go ahead and post it right now. Keep it short. Make sure it's on the topic, and make sure it's a good question. I'm going to address those right now. Young Poor said about to order that mirror. All right, I hope you got it. Dwayne the Goats. What's good? Big Black Wolf said fast reader. I am. I do a lot of reading and a lot of writing. He Got Game said, reminds me when I played, the difference between playing to win and playing not to lose. Playing not to lose is a mediocre mindset. That's exactly right. That's a good point. Aiming for mediocrity is playing not to lose in life. Everybody eventually loses. We all eventually lose our lives. We eventually run out of time. So you might as well not play not to lose. You're going to lose eventually anyway. Money May says, Mayweather can't read effectively, but he is still successful due to a boxing career. Well, you named yourself after him, so how you going to be laughing at him? You called yourself Money May, so you can't laugh at him at the same time you talk that you got the same name as him. ARB says, is yesterday's live going to go on YouTube? Yeah, I'm going to put that on YouTube. It'll be about a month, but it'll come out. T.I. Boogie, what's going on? Checking in from Fayetteville, North Carolina. I appreciate you. Raphael said, you become what you think about. That's right. The energy that you have going on inside you, that's part of the ill health. The way that you think is part of your health. A lot of people don't look at it like that, but y'all know nowadays they talk about mental health and all that. Mental health. So if you have bad mental health, that can cause you to fail in life. And I'm not talking about bad mental health like you get anxiety or depression that just got passed down through genetics. I'm talking about ill health in terms of the way that you think and the people that you associate with. Those things you can control. All right, I shut a negative personality down when they come into my gym. I don't allow a player to bash another, especially if the other person's not there to defend themselves. Yeah, that's right. If you're going to bash somebody, you got to bash them to their face. You can't do it behind their back. I agree with that. Katrina Haddad was good. All right, if anybody else got a question, I'll wait like 1 minute for another question while I tell you about these books one more time. The Mirror of Motivation and Self-Guide to Self-Discipline, so you can give yourself that lock-in and really locate your purpose in life, which will separate you from most of the people in this world who are drifting around with no purpose whatsoever. You stop 10 people on the street, ask them what their purpose is. Most of them going to ask you again, like, what you say? They have no idea what you're talking about. Balloverseas.com, the overseas basketball blueprint. If you want to play professional basketball overseas from anywhere in the world, there's no job in the world better than being a pro basketball player. Trust me, I know. So the question is, He Got Game says, in your playing days, were you ever apart from the team with at least one negative personality that was detrimental to the team? Was I ever a part of a team with a negative personality? Hell yeah. I've been around a lot of players who were negative personalities, and some of them were actually good players. I've been around some players who were bums, and they were negative. They eventually just got rid of them because we didn't need them. But I've been around some good players who were negative. They're the worst because you probably ain't going to get rid of them because they're actually good players, but their negative energy infects the whole team, and that destroys the team from within. They call it, in sports, they call that a cancer. When you have a negative energy inside the team, especially when it's a good player. It's even worse when they're good. It's not that bad when they're terrible because you could just drop a bum player. But a good player who's negative, that'll destroy the whole organization. Coffee the Great said, your favorite book that you're reading right now? I like the 50 book. Right now, I'm working on another book. I've been doing a lot of book writing recently, so I'm working on another book right now. So I'm not actively reading any one single book, but I got this book from Alex Sharfin called Entrepreneurial Personality Type. This is a short book. It's probably about 50 pages. I'm going to read that probably tomorrow afternoon. I'll read it in one day. So I'll say that. But I've read a lot of books. I probably read 200-300 books in my life, probably more than that. Katrina says, do you think more of the game is mental? What game are you talking about? I think every game is mental on some level. It starts with the way that you think. Any game that you in, business game, sports game, relationship game, any kind of game, it starts with the way that you think. Then it bleeds into your actions. You want to know how somebody thinks, just watch the actions that they take. Watch the things that they do. They'll show you how they're thinking. Doesn't mean you can read their minds, but you can tell a lot about somebody's mindset by the actions that they take. You can just tell by the way people talk how they think. Because usually the things that we say are the things that we've been thinking before we got a chance to actually say them. So whatever game you're talking about, Katrina, the answer is yes. But if you tell me what specific game you're talking about, I can give you more detail, maybe. This book right here is called Work on Your Game. If you already read The Mirror of Motivation, and maybe you read the Ball Overseas book, or maybe you don't want to play ball, you want to learn from me in a different way. This book right here, I took my whole philosophy, condensed it down to 250 pages. I would have made it 500 pages, but the publisher said no, 250 pages. So this is it. Work on your game. Use the pro athlete mindset to dominate your game in business, sports, and life. I like this book because they got a little color photograph of me right there in the back. You can get this book at workonyourgamebook.com. This is a hardcover book. Work on Your Game book. 250 pages. I tell you You'll learn a good amount of what I did in basketball, what I've done in business, and why I did those things. This is not my life story. That's not what this book is. I tell some of my story in the book so I can give you the points and the principles, because story is easier to follow story than just follow a whole bunch of information. So in that book, I tell you a good amount about me, why I did the things that I did, what I learned from those things, and how I came about this philosophy called work on your game. You want to know how I come up with this content every day, and I got new material all the time, and I'm always talking about different angles on mindset and how I became an expert in this topic. Read this book, Work on Your Game. I will show you how. You get this at workonyourgamebook.com, workonyourgamebook.com. This one ain't free, but I'm going to give you at least $1,000 worth of bonuses that come with this book that will make it more than worth it. It's a steal what you're getting for that book, or what you're getting in exchange for that book. This right here, the Mirror Motivation, is free, mirrormotivation.com. This is free. Overseas Basketball Blueprint, balloverseas.com. So tomorrow and the next day, just in case anybody didn't hear me, I will be doing another live on the next 20 causes, major causes of failure in life. If you didn't catch today's, you can catch the replay. You got 24 hours. Then I'm doing tomorrow at 5:15, day after that, 5:15. So be here, turn your notifications on. Everybody have a great weekend. Stay safe. Don't be all outside if they ain't tell you you could be outside yet. Don't get arrested. Work on your game. We out.